I'm here with Paul. Well, it's plugged in, but it's a different plugged in person. Hello, Paul.
Hello, how are you doing, Andy?
I'm fine. Well, I've got another bearded person in front of me. You can check this out on YouTube later, but it's not an Adam bearded person. It's a Paul bearded person.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, my beard is a little I like to think my beard is a little better looking than Adam's. I'll just say, you
No,
know.
fair enough. I'll have to
You can
flag.
tell Adam I said that. We'll see what he says next week.
We will indeed. Now, Adam's not with us for this time, so we have you to fill his shoes to continue talking about plugged in. So, really briefly, which we like to do, just explain what is plugged in all about for somebody who's not heard this before. What's plugged in?
You bet. Plugged In is really a resource for primarily for families, right? Parents who are looking at a movie, they say, I wonder if this is going to be good for my 8-year-old. And we have a review online that hopefully walks them through all the problems they might encounter, all the messages they might find in the movie, and tells them just a little bit about it so they can make a good decision for them and their families. Now we review movies, television, books, music, video games. We also talk a lot about technology. So pretty much anything within the realm of the entertainment space and technology, we have a review of. We really do review almost everything in terms of everything from Christian movies to the movies that you're going to be seeing at the Oscars. All of these are sort of part of our bailiwick that we deal with. So.
Cool. Right. And as ever, as I would do with Adam, where do you want to start us off tonight? I'm quite happy wherever you want to go.
So really the big movie that I am really interested in is The Unbreakable Boy. The Unbreakable Boy is a new movie that's out here in the States. It is based on a true story. And the main character is this kid named Austin. He's 13 years old, and he was born with brittle bone disease. When you talk about unbreakable, it's certainly not physically unbreakable because he has broken dozens and dozens and dozens of bones in his short lifetime. He is also on the autism spectrum, which presents even more challenges both for him and for his parents. But he approaches life with a beautiful enthusiasm. He loves his life. He loves everything around him. And that enthusiasm is kind of contagious. Meanwhile, his parents are trying to figure out how to raise this very special but kind of challenged boy. And his father, especially, sometimes has a hard time figuring out how to connect with Austin. His father's name is Scott. He is also dealing with his own issues. He has a drinking problem that he's not really owning up to. So those are the two themes that sort of go hand in hand with The Unbreakable Boy. And it is really an inspiring story. One of the things that I love about it is at some point, Scott, who's played by Zachary Levi, who you might be familiar from Shazam, he says, I wish I had the love of anything as much as my son loves everything. And that is really one of the most beautiful takeaway quotes from this movie because it sums up kind of that sense of gratitude that the movie gives us. You know, when you look at Austin, you just see that he loves everything. And for those of us who have been given so much, who have been blessed so greatly, sometimes we forget to approach life with that feeling of gratitude. And that's one of the big takeaways that I took from this movie.
All right. What else have we got coming on then?
Well, you know what? As far as movies go, when you're looking in the theaters, that's really about it. We are kind of in this period of time where there's not a ton out. You know, Captain America, Brave New World came out last week. You had Paddington in Peru, which was fantastic. But those are kind of the outliers in terms of what's really big in theaters. It's also a great time for Plugged In, honestly, to look backward a little bit. You know, the Oscars are the run up to the Oscars are going on here. The Oscars are going to be at the very beginning of March. A lot of those movies aren't particularly ones that families might want to go out and see. Definitely, you don't want to have your kids going out and seeing The Brutalist, which is 4 hours long, and that's really too long. But Plugged In actually has sort of their alternative Oscars, and we call it the Plugged In Movie Awards. And that's where we really sort of unpack the movies that we really liked from the past year, from 2024. And we nominate these films in four different categories: best movies for kids, for teens, for adults, and best Christian movie. And we sort of are able to sort of engage with those movies. We've done blogs on each one of these nominees. We have reviews on each one of the nominees. And so this is really our opportunity to look back and say, okay, let's think about, say, a movie like The Wild Robot, or My Penguin Friend, or even a much tougher one that it would be for adults, but has some really interesting spiritual themes, Exhibiting Forgiveness. And what is that movie about? Let's think about it. Let's talk about it. Let's see what it brings to the table. This is a great opportunity for us to sort of do that. So for anybody who's interested, go to the Plugged In blog and look through some of these award blogs that we have. Just look for Plugged In Movie Awards, Best Movies for Kids, etc. And then on February 27th, we will be releasing the winners during the Plugged In Show podcast, which you can also find on the pluggedin.com. So we actually decide the winners right there during the podcast. We haven't decided them ahead of time, but they will be released on February 27th.
So you're keeping people poised on
that is
where
exactly
it's going
right.
to go.
They are perched right there. And maybe Adam will talk a little bit about the winners when he comes back next week, unless I get to be with you again, which I would love.
Well, that's fine. Okay, there's plenty going on in the world of Plugged In. You got your movie reviews coming up, which is cool. So have you got anything kind of, I don't know, YouTube, music, books? What have you looked at recently?
You know what? We actually have seen a couple of really fun TV shows. One of the ones that I actually reviewed is this show called Goldie, which is this really cute kids show that's on Apple TV Plus. If you're familiar with Apple TV Plus, they don't release a lot of content, but the content that they release, at least aesthetically, is pretty good. It's usually very well made. It even won an Oscar for Best Picture a few years ago for this movie called Coda. Goldie is sort of fits right in that realm. This is a TV show for kids, but it's about this huge girl, this literally gigantic 50-foot tall girl who lives in the town of Boysenberg, and she has become sort of this favorite element within the town. She has a couple of really good friends that she hangs out with, and even though when she cries, she happens to flood the main city streets, even though she might knock down a few buildings or two, she has become this loved citizen of Boysenberg. And it's a really great, sweet show that really has no problems to speak of, unless you're talking about some of the buildings are knocked over. It really talks about just sort of the beauty of being different and accepting everybody, just even when they don't look or act exactly the same. How wonderful a friend they can be. And Goldie really is a lovely friend to the people who she meets.
Fabulous. What else have you got then? What else can we look at?
Let me actually point you to a very small Christian streaming service called Minnow. This may not be very familiar to a lot of folks, but it actually has some very nice content, and it's all sort of geared toward families, toward kids, and toward Christians especially. They have a really neat new show called Dead Sea Squirrels. Now, if you're familiar with VeggieTales, you may know Mike Naraki. He was the voice for Larry Boy for many, many years. He participated in that a lot. He is behind this new show, and it's essentially about these squirrels that were sort of dug up on an archaeological dig. They were freeze-dried, and now they're back alive. So
of course they are.
Of course. They grew up in essentially ancient Judea. So they have a very good familiarity with Jesus in his times. And so through their stories, little viewers can learn a little bit about the Bible, about Jesus, about those ancient times. It's a really fun, sweet, and very informative show. If you're looking for something that sort of introduces them to some Bible stories in a cute and clever way, Dead Ski Squirrels is not a bad choice.
So what was the name of that provision? Is that Minnow?
Minnow, yes, yes. They have a lot of different programs that you can find there. But again, there are so many streaming services out here. Minnow is very, very much targeted toward kids. So if you are a Christian and you have kids in your family, Minnow might be something you can check out. I think they have a lot of the old VeggieTales cartoons there too. So it might be something that they might be interested in.
Cool. Okay, look. And your podcast is coming Thursday. So I'm trying to get me US UK thing. So 27th of February, either way. What time is it going out US?
So it is actually going to be released at 12:01 on February 27th. So
wow.
If you click on it then, like if you wake up at 7 or 8 o'clock and you want to download the show, if you want to listen to the show, it should be ready for you to go.
And that'll be is it just movies you're looking at, or is it TV shows?
This is just movies. Yeah, we typically look at, the best other things that we review, the best TV shows, music, video games. Those typically, we actually do have lists of those too, but they usually come out right at the end of the year. We usually start rolling those out in December. But for movies, we wait because it's such a big part of our audience, because the Oscars are such a big deal. It's usually right around February and March that we talk about those.
Cool. Well, thank you, Paul, standing in for Adam for this week. We will see Adam or you next week for more. And where do people get all the reviews and all of that sort of stuff? What's the website?
And so the website is pluggedin.com. It's all one word, .com. And it's, we have lots and lots and lots of reviews. We have a really great time providing reviews for not just families, but for teens and for 20-somethings who are mindful of the content and they might want to read, hopefully, an entertaining review about what they want to see.
Cool. Paul, pluggedin.com. Thank you kindly.
Hey, thank you so much.
Did you know Pure 24/7 Radio has a shop? Well, we do. You can buy merchandise while supporting the work that we do here. Simply head over to www.pure247radio.org/shop. That's www.pure247radio.org/shop.